Hello, all. Welcome to the Legend of Gaming podcast. This is Matt.
And you got Cliff.
Today, we are covering action-adventure RPG role-playing games. But first, for our Cliff Notes.
Matt, we have some really good Cliff Notes that we're going to go on over. Our first episode was FPS. And of course, Matt, you know, we covered a lot of different things. We covered when it comes to storytelling, to the campaigns, to what was our first FPS, to some of the history of it too. So we definitely went over a good amount of stuff. Since we were going over so many different questions and topics, there were 3 questions you asked me that we didn't get to cover. So our first Cliff Note is about the Division. You were asking me what was something good from each game. The first one was definitely the Dark Zone for just how massive it was. It took up right kind of in the center of the map. And it was the first time we were introduced to something that had this type of mysterious, also very dangerous area that you can kind of explore with your friends. Now, one of my favorite things from the second one was the new type of tech they introduced. I'm going to mention 2 that were my 2 personal favorites. One was a sniper turret that you could set up. Now you could use this to stagger enemies. You could use this to get a drop kill immediately, which was really nice when you set up for vantage points. The second piece was a miniature drone that did airstrikes. Yes, it did actual airstrikes, and it was miniature airstrikes. So let's say someone's hiding behind a car, you can destroy that whole miniature area. But just to have that type of versatility to your kit was something that was really cool. And not to say the first one didn't have a lot of cool tech, but that was something that I really enjoyed in the second one. Now, our second Cliff Note has to do with Hardline, and it was a reason why I wasn't playing it. Looking back and going through the information, it wasn't really 2 different countries, 2 different militaries going against each other. It was really cops and mafia going against each other. I didn't really get behind that too much. The destruction that could happen in the game was still there, but it wasn't to the degree of what Battlefield 4 and 3 was. So that was something that was a little bit less appealing to me. The vehicle range was a lot smaller than what it was in Battlefield 4 and 3. So of course you can't have big old tanks running through and stuff like that. You had certain helicopters, but it wasn't to that scale, and I think that's what I started to miss. I think Hardline started to become a little bit more like Call of Duty in that aspect, and that's where you can kind of see it a little bit. And our last Cliff Note has to do with the Commander app. I didn't mention everything that you could do in it. I did mention a few things, but I wanted to just point out how cool this app was. Some additional things you could do is you could actually point out a high value target in game. So you can point out, hey, everyone that's playing right now, this is the person you need to focus. You could drop in gunships for people. You can even drop in vehicles if you see certain people stranded. And you also had the ability to drop in EMPs and completely throw off the other team. And that would include our Cliff Notes for episode 1. If you guys haven't heard it already, definitely take your time and go check it out. We deeply appreciate it. Now, we're talking about RPGs today. And me and Matt, we definitely love them. So, Matt, where do you think we should start when it comes to campaign, when it comes to characters? Where do you think we should start this journey?
Let's start with the elements that make a good campaign. What are the elements that really encapsulate you in an RPG?
Yeah, so I think one of the most important pieces to just a good element of a game is going to be the plot. You definitely need something that keeps your attention, maybe throws in a little twist here and there, or just has a nice like progressive feel to it where you feel like you're uncovering different parts of the character, which is very nice. I think one of the games that does it really well recently is definitely the Spider-Man trilogy that's out right now, which is the first one, Miles, and 2. I know you've played 1 and Miles.
I platinum 2 of them. I got that Spider-Man 1, first plat ever, and then I did play Miles Morales whenever it came to the little PlayStation subscription. Mm-hmm. I will say, both are great. Yeah. Both are great. I think I was attracted to Miles's fighting style.
Okay.
It felt more fluid to that comic book character.
Okay.
Very acrobatic, very young. The music changing whenever you would wear different suits, I thought was like a nice little touch.
Yeah.
I really liked Into the Spider-Verse, the movie, because it kind of really encapsulated like what I like in film, right? Like it had all these different elements. It played differently when he didn't have powers to when he had powers. And I think that's one thing that throughout the whole series, like to your point, I really liked. When I played Spider-Man 1, I liked that as you would do the side missions, as a completionist, I'm going to do everything, right? I'm going to hit every corner.
Mm-hmm.
But as you would do those side missions, you're following Black Cat.
Right.
You're after the Prowler.
Right.
And these things are like, it's not just to check off the to-do list. Like, I actually want to go find out about my uncle, who's beating the shit out of people, and I want to go find this girl who can beat my ass. And it's never boring. It's always different. I feel like every time you got a different challenge you had to overcome to get the spectacular, right? The highest rating.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I thought it was really impressive.
You know, to kind of touch upon you just mentioning how his acrobats are. You know, he actually had more style and playthrough when it came to just like him swinging through. So you had like different elements of like him doing tricks and stuff like that. He does a lot more than Spider-Man, and that's actually true to his character, which is really cool.
Well, and I want you to tell me about Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I know that, you know, from 1 to 2, 1 had a longer story. I really actually liked the storyline so much because it lays the groundwork for Miles, right? So, like, playing Miles Morales isn't going to take away from the first story.
Yeah.
But playing that first story really gave you depth on both Spider-Man himself, what he does for the community, him as a person, as Peter, and then here's this boy Miles that just kind of, they coincidentally have life together, right?
Right.
I really liked the story so much, and I think that's where the fighting had to be better for the second game, because the story was shorter. So no matter how good that story was, it was really had a lot of competition with the first game. But I know Spider-Man 2 has both of them.
Yes.
Obviously, we don't want to spoil anyone. I don't mind those spoilers, but we'll save those for me. But like, what were the movement changes? Did they add things in that are not even elements that are present in these first two games?
Well, Miles, if you remember his first one, he was really learning how to kind of become Spider-Man. He's looked up to Spider-Man. He's always wanted to be Spider-Man. And in Miles, you're doing all these training sessions that Spider-Man kind of left for you, all the side like quests, which are really fun. You kind of see him evolve from that state. Now, of course, you always want to be, if it's a teacher teaching a student, you always want your teacher to surpass you. That is all I'll leave you with.
Wait, hold on. You want your student to surpass you?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
No,
Yeah.
I was like, hey, first thing, if it's a good teacher, fuck, I mean, I'm with that. But yeah, I definitely felt that, like, Spider-Man left, because it was a recording, right? They're like little spider recordings, little Spider-Man.
Yeah, he left them around the city, and it's just different, like, training competitions that he would do with himself. And there'll be moments where there's, like, criminals that, like, kind of mess up the training, and you have to do something a little bit offbeat, which are kind of fun. But in the future of it, you see how like Spider-Man's been helping him grow into a better version of himself, and you see how it translates into the situation both of them get into. You see,
absolutely.
Really
I mean,
nice.
I think again, you're bringing up that element of change, because even in those challenges, when you're doing the challenges that you're having fun, there's points where like their storyline breaks.
Yeah.
Where the bad guys are coming in and they're like, fuck your training, I'm gonna beat you up.
Right.
And I'm like, I really like that, because that is Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man the comic.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is always, hey, I'm gonna go help this person, and then what happens? Problem after problem after problem after problem.
It's continuous, yeah. Now, what I will say, moving away from like their characters and the environment, the actual history that's happening in that universe, do you remember Howard?
The duck?
No, the Howard that's the pigeon man. The guy that has all the pigeons.
So it's so funny. I don't remember Howard, but I remembered having to get a trophy following Howard's pigeons around town.
Yes.
So I remember him enough to remember that I followed his pigeons.
Yes. No, that's definitely part of it. So the very first one, they had it where Spider-Man, Peter, was really close with Howard. he would help him out, help him with his pigeons. They would get lost, all this other stuff. The second one, Miles thinks pigeons are disgusting, they're nasty, all this other stuff, right? And Peter actually leaves this whole like recording of just how important pigeons are. And that's just a small thing, you know, it's like he's leaving information of just like, you know, the importance of pigeons and why Howard does what he does. And there was a fun fact that they kind of left where it was like the pigeons were actually used in like, I believe, World War II to deliver messages. And like Miles takes a second, he just appreciates it. He's like, oh wow, I never thought about that. So it gives you like a really cool perspective of Miles, the way that he's growing. And you just see that continued into to kind of tie back into the Howard's part, that story continues all the way through 1 through 3, and it's something that is not anything of danger. It's not anything of a situation or
significance, right?
Yeah, but it's a story that I promise you, from if you watch from beginning to end, you would love the fact that they put it in there.
See, and those are like the most rewarding ones.
Yeah,
those are like the most, and by ones I mean those are the most rewarding quests, where you kind of don't have the expectation that it's going to hit you in the feels, and it does.
right.
And actually, you know, Miles Morales, the end of it made me cry really hard the second time I played it, because I platinumed it on a PS4, and my dad had passed away. And, you know, it's different when you play games through the perspective of like, I just want to knock out the game. And that was Miles Morales the first time. Second time, when I beat it, I was a little more attentive to just like the quests that were out of the way, because I'm like, you know what, these are usually the best storylines. After you beat the game, your mom has Spider-Man hide postcards around town. Have you done that quest?
Yes.
Do you remember the end of it?
Amazing. Yes, I do.
The end of it was his dead father leaving him a message.
That recording was a tearjerker.
And it's one of those things that, you know, someone could be like, hey, this is a spoiler. You may not even do the postcard quest because it's after the game's done.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm really pinpointing this is it just shows you games are like really good relief for stress, good storytelling in this case.
Yeah.
But there's times where it's like kind of a culmination of multiple elements, right? Like it's a good story. It hits you in the feels. I think what really I love about this game is, my God, the fighting is so good.
It is. It is really good.
And like, I'm not gonna shy away from, I love New York as a person. Like, I truly love New York. So I think that the dedication they put to giving New York its vibes, its feel, it really feels segmented out. I love when I'm like near Central Park and I see the Guggenheim and I'm like, all right, I know where I'm going, right? Obviously, you know, I bring up something about my feelings and like making me think about my dad, but also like it makes me think about good things. It makes me think about all these art museums I go to and all the good foods I eat and all of these good movies I've seen. So it's just really crazy that this one medium, Spider-Man, this trilogy, which, you know, it's like free if you have PlayStation Plus pass.
You can get pretty much all, I think almost all, except for the last one. But you should be able to get the first and second one.
Give it time.
Amazing.
Give it time.
Yeah,
it'll be on
absolutely.
the pass, right?
Yeah, give it time.
I owned the game for 2 years, hard copy.
Nice.
Someone gave it to me for Christmas and I just didn't have time. And then when I sat down, I'm like, wow, I was sleeping on a giant. I really enjoyed them.
I got the second one as a bundle, which was nice. So it was the first one.
I have Spider-Man 2 downloaded right now. And I have one trophy. And I'm like, you know what?
Maybe
tonight's the night. We've talked so highly of it. I think that it deserves a little credence, a little time.
I think your highlight of just like how you felt in that moment, like with your dad, I think that's a perfect point of us talking about escapism. There's certain things in games that you can just really connect to, and they can bring you to a place that you normally just can't in the real world, which is true. If it's something of like needing some healing to something, or if you just need to express yourself, I think RPGs are the game to give that to you. Just because it might seem like there's not that it's just a simple game, but there's so much emotion behind every single RPG that you play. I think some are immensely fun. Some give you a good laugh. Some are violent and you get out your anger and frustration, like we all love it. And then afterwards you feel a lot better. And I'm just wondering, like, what's one of the games that help you with escapism?
I mean, there's avenues we can go down. I think there's so many we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
If I wanted to highlight one that I think really just hits all the points that you just highlighted, it would be Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
You can play that game to take you through a story, and you can play it through cinematic mode, and you can really just follow along the character line, right? You don't have to invest yourself into the towns, into the side quests, into any of those activities that are really not necessary to the main plot. And you're still going to get a 10 out of 10 phenomenal story.
Okay.
If you look at all those side elements, right, you're looking at a character that you can fall in love with or hate. You can make those decisions. You can have that impact on the community, and it can go one of those two ways.
Right.
I think where that game was exceptional was every time I walk into town, whether it's in first person, whether it's in third person, whether I'm a bandit, whether I'm a good guy, there's a different experience every time.
Yeah.
Truly. The ambiance that it has, the feel. I've never lived in a Western town where the only entertainment is a saloon, right? They really captured that, and there is a little bit of chaos.
Yeah.
Have you played Red Dead?
No, I haven't. But I'm already picturing the situation. Yes, I know that one's sitting on the shelf. I don't know if we're gonna pick it up, but it might happen.
I will tell you.
It's a long game, I know.
I would, in my heart of hearts, say that you're missing out.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, like gamer to gamer, Matt to Cliff,
Yeah.
human to human. Like as someone who loves film, I thought it was better than any Western I've ever seen in my entire life.
Really? That's speaking a lot.
I love Westerns.
Yeah.
There always is a lull or an element that I'm like, okay, modern films could maybe make this up. Like make up that gap. No, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a masterpiece. It is a masterpiece. Now, is it a game that you might platinum? That's where that's a different beast. But
Right.
When it comes to changing how I feel about a character, it happens so many times throughout the story. My perception, the thoughts that I have. There's a character named Dutch that I hate his guts.
Okay.
I think there's rhyme behind the reasons for why he's a bad person.
Okay.
Does it justify it? No. Is it the reason they survived as long as they did? Maybe. And it's really up to you how you digest the story. There's twists along the way that are unavoidable.
Okay.
They pull at your heartstrings, and I think that Rockstar,
Yeah.
GTA is its own monster, and we can talk about that, right? Have you played GTA?
Yes, I have.
See, I haven't played GTA, so you can give me that side.
Yeah.
GTA seems like an outlet to creativity. This is a game that you could come to with complete writer's block, and it's going to give you something. You could come to it with a really bad day, and you could give someone a bad day, or you could be the guy that saves the day. It's really immersive to the point that kind of whatever you want to do, you can do, including go play poker.
Yeah. Oh,
I've sat and just chilled in real life and played the poker and talked to people in real life on a party and had a good time. Yeah. So that's where this game is one of those things where you can sit down and have a game inside of a game, but also like it pulls you away. Do you have any games that like you love like this? Because obviously I'm pretty passionate.
No,
I want to put on a cowboy hat right now and right out the door, maybe go shoot a 6-shooter. Is there any games that you love like that, or is there any elements in there that you'd like to see in?
I think there's like certain elements in certain games that help me really escape. I would say like one of them would be it was like Assassin's Creed Origins. That one was a very interesting one.
I'm gonna pause right here. This man in Assassin's Creed. I'm gonna get you a shirt, and I'm gonna get you a sponsorship. So which one is it? Just to be clear, Assassin's Creed Origins. Okay.
So it's the story of how assassins became. And crazy enough, the actual symbol is a eagle's like skull left in the sand. That's how they made the symbol.
I mean, you gotta give me a little conjecture. Why? Is that something that happened in one of the origin stories?
It was something that the founders they were actually husband and wife, but they had to go separate ways because of the things that happened along the way. So you see, it's a really big tear between having a love for someone and having a duty that you need to fulfill, and you see the tear slowly begin. It starts off with the main character that you're playing. You're playing the husband, and you actually lost your son to the formation of the Templars. So there was a piece of information that you had.
They formed and killed your son? Like, they formed to kill you? Sorry, I'm so sorry. They formed to kill your son, or the formation of them led to your son's demise?
The formation of them led to the demise of your son. Because their old name, because, like, for example, the Assassins, actually their first name wasn't the Assassins. It was actually the Hidden Ones, which is really cool.
Were they hidden?
They were hidden.
Oh my God.
Hidden everywhere.
How were they found?
Never would. And the Templars, they actually went by a different name. It's not coming to me. I think it's just slipping my mind. But they were forming in their early stages of their beliefs and stuff like that. And you were in a temple, and they were trying to get certain information. They wanted you to proceed through a certain door, and you had your son there with them. Your son was in the crossfire, and you wind up losing your son. So now you're on this vengeance of trying to stop this new forming cult, and you're actually forming the Assassins as you're going. And your wife's there potentially forming it with you, but she left for a while because of the loss of your son. It was just too much where you guys couldn't even look at each other. So it's one of those things, like, you know, I didn't personally experience that, but I could just feel the heaviness. Every single mission I played, I felt the heaviness. Every time they ran into each other, the moments they were torn when they had to leave each other, you can see it. You can see the devastation that it left on both of them.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
What was the trepidation of going through with what the Templars had at the beginning, right? Like, they're back at this place. He has to walk through with little Timmy.
Yeah.
Little Timmy gets blasted in the crossfire.
Straight.
What was the issue? Was it like a moral issue? Was it like a religious issue? Because I know a lot of these games can come down to political things, whether it's money, whether it's religion.
It was power, potentially. Okay. Because there was some type of entity or item, if I remember correctly, that they were trying to obtain. And the son was there, and they used the son against him.
I mean, my God, this is basically the plot of The Forest.
Oh, really?
We can go into that tangent in a moment, because that's another type of role-playing game, but that's very similar. Like, there's artifacts that are from the 1600s.
Yeah.
They were on this island that Christian settlers had gone to the island to, like, investigate. The artifacts started to take over the people and kind of turn them into, like, cannibals. And they realized that the thing that powered the artifact was, in fact, a child. So one of the artifacts you'd have to put a kid into, and it would take their power. And you could revive people, you could do all these crazy things, but you could also power an obelisk, so you could blow planes out of the air to get more children. So that's what leads to the next game. The next game is you blast children out of the air at the end of the game. I'm sorry. I'm going to ruin it for you because I just put in 160 hours and it's so glitched, so I have no faith that anyone's going to want to invest time in the forest. But yeah, you're in the forest. The obelisk is ran by children. You blow a plane out of the air. Okay. And essentially those old artifacts, those old alien artifacts are like just making a cyclical...
Wow. Congratulations on the platinum, by the way. I would love to just point that out. Platinums are definitely a tough thing to do, and I know that one had you go through the loops, so you had to do it one more time. So
let's talk about escapism going wrong. Cliff knows that there's certain trophies that they can just be glitched and they become a problem. I was playing the forest, and the last two trophies was run 50,000 steps and live 100 days. To live 100 days in real life time was 45 hours of real life time. So I got to day 60, probably 30 hours of that, and my game glitched and deleted. And my morals went through the floor. But my ability to overcome and persevere is so strong that I taped my remote and I left it for 3 hours running in a circle, and I got those 50,000 steps. And I may have left my PlayStation on for 3.5 days, and I had to get to day 137 to pop the day 100 trophy, but I don't care. I don't care. No. Little Timmy's mine.
Exactly. You're getting it.
I appreciate that, Cliff. I really mean that. That was maybe my hardest trophy. And again, I did enjoy that escape. I did enjoy being there. I did enjoy fighting the cannibals with friends. But that is an example of a time where, like, the fun of the game does not surpass the amount of frustration that comes with the glitches or the connection. I think whenever we talk about Assassin's Creed, we talk about Red Dead, I think those true AAA games that are ran off of a campaign, and they have like its own meat and bones, and it doesn't rely on servers, I think those are super important. I think that there's a handful of different ways you can go. I don't know, is Origins a sandbox game?
Origins is it's not a sandbox game. It's definitely, I want to say it's more of a linear game for the most part. It does have a direction, but it gives you a very big open world where you can kind of explore as you go. But it doesn't have elements to it that would make it where the ending of the outcome would be something different or a different option. So you'll still have the same ending regardless. So I want to say it's definitely linear, but it's definitely an open world, which is nice.
I like that. So, like, you know, I think there are some people who do struggle with a true sandbox, open world. You make your own campaign, and we can highlight some of those in a moment. For linear games, outside of Assassin's Creed, are there any other linear RPGs that you've played that way? Or is there a original one that comes to mind? Because, like, I will say this was my origin for loving RPGs. Like, I've played role-playing games in my life. I think the first wow moment I had was a Baldur's Gate adjacent game. Baldur's Gate 1 was out at the time. I had gone to Alden Square Mall in Illinois, to Electronic Boutique. Little neon sign blew my mind. And I saw a game that caught my eye, and it was called Champions of Norath. Okay?
What is that? Tell me about it.
It's like a roguelite. You make a sorcerer, you make a shaman, warrior. You know, you pick one of these classes. You could be human, you could be a lizard, you could be a elf, you could be a dark elf. It is up to 4 person that we can all sit on the same PlayStation and play. And you fight through the realms to overcome good and evil. Like, it depends on your perception, so I can't say it's good or evil. It's to you fight against celestial entities. It was phenomenal. I had played hundreds of hours in my little farm town, invited my friend over every weekend. We'd go back and forth. It was the first game that had iterations that came out after, but the biggest thing was there was decisions with those iterations. So Champions of Norath led to Champions Return to Arms, and you could pick good or evil, and there were 2 campaigns. And that blew my mind. I was like, hold on a minute. If I'm bad, I'm going down these different realms, different conversations, different people, different meetings. And if we go down this other path, we get a completely different experience. It feels like 2 games in one.
That's awesome.
So that was one of the origins of linear games that was like, you have a pathway. But there was one decision that would take you down path A or path B. Super rewarding. My God, I loved it. Replayability through the roof.
That's a really good piece too, that you can replay it. That's always a good game. Always a good sign. If you can muster, you're like, you know what, I can go through this campaign one more time. This hit a good spot in my heart.
Do you have one?
I do. So have you've heard of Infamous, right?
Yeah, we had a little talk about it.
Yeah, we mentioned for a
Infamous,
second.
I'm realizing I get mixed up with Watch Dogs.
Okay.
I don't know how. I think it's just the writing on the front of the video game. And I get it mixed up with the other one, which I think is just Infamous 2.
Yeah.
Which has got to do with the lightning bolts on it. I've not played it.
So there's Infamous 1, Infamous 2. And then there's Infamous Second Son, which is almost its own spin-off of a story. To kind of talk about linear games, I think this is one of the first games that you could probably dive into if you're like, I'm really good with linear games. I like to have a certain story told to me, but I want to have just option A and option B. I think that's the perfect one to kind of start off where you're like, okay, like I don't want to get to the part where I'm full sandbox and I'm like, oh man, I have all these options. I don't know what to choose. I'm paralyzed. I don't want to play this anymore. Infamous has it where you have good karma and you have bad karma. So you have all these different things around the city that you could do with your powers that you got. For example, Infamous 1 and 2, you have it where you have this electric power that you can turn into different like weapons, lob different bombs, and you have things where you could save people or you can kind of say, screw you. And it starts building up your karma in different ways. So let's say you get good karma. All of a sudden you unlock these different cool powers that are nice and blue and stuff like that, protecting the city. Look at you being a great hero. I'm proud of you.
The Blue Ranger.
Yeah. Or, you're looking a little bit more like Darth Vader. All of a sudden your lightning's looking a little red. People are putting you down as a terrorist. Nowhere near a vigilante. So you can choose that option. You'll have two big different endings to that game. Not to spoil too much about it. It's a very interesting game to play. And I think if you don't want to go back to play the first one or second one, because they are older games, if you're cool with older games, by all means. But you have the option of playing something that's a little bit more relatively new. I would say try Second Son. It has the same concept. I think that was a really cool game for me to test out different options for myself, because I always see myself as like good karma, always trying to do good things.
Always.
And I always wind up playing the good path first, and then I'm like, I could play this again. I could jump on in, and it's like, I did the good option last time. I'm fine. Let me see what this bad option is.
I remember now what you told me about Infamous. You talked about the HUD being exceptional.
Oh, that was for Division. That's where you're getting the confusion.
Oh my!
Yeah,
see, that's the third game.
Yeah.
If you just put a silhouette of a person on a game, I'm gonna be like, yep, that's the game. All right. So Infamous wasn't the HUD; it was the simple decision making. I mean, I want some Palpatine lightning though. Absolutely. I want to be good, but I want a Palpatine lightning, people.
You can pretty much have it.
Is the ending, without spoilers, because I've already spoiled the forest. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Are they diversely different?
They're very diversely different. They're so different. And this is where I applaud people that make games. If you play Infamous 2, the first thing it asks you, what ending did you get? That's the first thing it asks you. What ending did you get? Or you never played it at all. That's fine. You can choose an ending. But both of your endings completely change how your game starts. Completely changes it. So you can tell that I know you're like, oh man, that's a nice touch. It's a very nice touch. And there's a few games that do it where
Mass Effect is the only one that I can think of off the top of my head.
The Witcher 3 has it where it's slightly different, but it has it where if you mention, yes, I've played the previous games, you get additional questions and situations, which is nice. It's a nice touch.
Wow.
So that one's a kudos to everyone at The Witcher 3. They put in some good work on it.
Today I learned. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I don't want to jump off of the karma bit of it.
Yeah.
Good karma, bad karma.
Okay.
Maybe that's just an element that's like tied to good RPGs.
Yeah.
Fallout had that.
Okay.
Fallout 3
absolutely.
and Fallout New Vegas, I believe. I played Fallout 3 a lot more, and it definitely had it. For sure.
Only played 4.
Okay, so 4 did not have karma in the same instance. So it was a gauge.
Mm-hmm.
Left to right, good, bad.
Yeah.
Well, probably bad, good. Left was probably bad. And as you stole, murdered, lied, whatever, you get bad karma. And obviously, as you did things positively, you get good karma. And obviously, as a trophy hunter, it really made it difficult because you had to play the game either 3 times, because you had to be neutral also. There was neutral karma.
Yeah.
But also, like, to save and to do save scrubbing, Do you know what safe scrubbing is?
Save scrubbing, if I'm not, let's see if I know it. It's where you kind of bounce back to an old save, like a few checkpoints back, and then you kind of like use that save to get what you need done.
That's it, Cliff.
That's it? Okay.
You know, there's so many different ways you could do it. If you're rolling a dice and you need a 6, you could save right before, right? And you could roll and keep loading. That's an example. For this, what you would do is like, I'd save the game before, and I'd make the decisions I would not play on with.
Okay.
First, and get those karmic rewards, unfortunate ones, because I love being a good guy. But then I would reload and I would play the good playthrough, because I think we're both similar. Like, I want to be the guy that can save the day, the hero, overcome the odds, defuse the nuke in the middle of the town. That was a Fallout quest.
On 4?
There was a Fallout quest in Fallout 3.
Oh, okay.
And the town was called... It had atom facetiously in the name, I feel, because it was an atom bomb. And you could choose the good path, and you could learn how to disarm it, and you could disarm it, or you could go like 5 miles out of town to Tenpenny Tower, and you could blow it up and watch from the top, and it would just kill everybody in the town. And it's one of those things where, again, I think Fallout was the first Bethesda game that had option A, option B.
Okay.
Here's that linear path. They have sandbox games too. They have Skyrim. They have Oblivion. I will talk your ear off about Oblivion.
Yeah.
But Karma was really prevalent in the Fallout franchise also.
Okay. Is there, when it comes down to the linear path, is there like certain things that you look at the plot and you're like, okay, like I wish this was navigated differently? Because I think you lose it a little bit, and this is where we'll start leaning into sandboxes and different options, is that linear paths are definitely beautiful depending on how it's created.
I totally get it. I mean, I'll give one example of perfection for me.
Okay.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Yes, I agree.
Right? Linear path. You go down this path. You don't have to go write a haiku. You don't need to have a hot bath. You don't need to go chop bamboo. Right. But all of those things are rewarding in themselves. Every single one of those things, I'm like, this haiku I'm writing. And really, it's, you have 3 options. You pick it. But I really loved all of those feelings, because I've never been in feudal Japan. I've never been in a hot bath. I have written a haiku not well. And also, I've never, wielded a sword for my life, my pride, my honor.
Yeah.
That story, whether you play it in cinematic mode, whether you play it in easy or hard, whether you pick the decisions I picked or not, phenomenal story, because they are phenomenal storytellers at Insomniac. I think that's where, when you're looking for that escape and you want to have something digested like easily and given to you, that's where I think that's perfect.
Gotcha.
When we talk about that transition of like what keeps me, what doesn't, it's the storytelling. It's the quality of that storytelling that they can tell. Yeah. And I think that's why I really highlighted Red Dead at the beginning. It's both. It is both. Yeah. You can go and do all of these things on the map that are outside. You can skin the animals. You can go find all of these little hidden quests. There's so many side storylines that have nothing to do with the main plot that are so rewarding. Okay. But also, I can hold down that middle button that changes the view from first person to third person, put it in cinematic mode, not touch it, and it will physically move.
Really?
If I'm riding from one town to the next town and I'm like, you know what, Cliff, I don't want to do this anymore. I want my guy to follow these characters. I can hold the middle button, and it will go into cinematic mode, and it will show you 10 different camera angles as it goes through the grass, from the sky, from your character's perception.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because there's actually 2 games that I know that do it. The Witcher 3 does it as well, so shout out to them again. And Origins actually does it too. And when you get to see like Gaza, like, and you're just like galloping through, that is a beautiful view. So I see what you mean. That's a nice touch.
I mean, and this is not even in my notes. This is just something that I just feel like obligated to bring up.
Yeah.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
I'm gonna say something. It might shock you. That is one missed game that is on my list.
I did not play it for 5 years, 6 years after
Okay.
it came out. I really slept on it. And then whenever I had gotten a Switch, I had put it in one day because the power was out during a hurricane. We're in Florida. And the physics, it is a sandbox only. Like, yes, sure, there's a story. You fight Ganondorf.
Okay.
That's, I feel like, Legend of Zelda. You save the princess. It really is a journey you make on your own. Red Dead itself has elements that lead you along. You can watch that cinematic mode. It's exceptional. I think that's a really good way to break up some of those big chunks of travel, or like just give yourself a little break that you can enjoy the actual graphics.
Right.
Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, literally, you make your own story. Link doesn't talk.
No.
He does not talk.
To anybody?
Link doesn't talk.
Oh, wow.
So it's one of those things where, like, you're playing a whole game where the character doesn't really make sounds. It's not a dialogue-driven game. You can read. There's things you can read.
Okay.
But you're never going to hear Link say a word. I think on top of you're not really, like, having dialogue spoken to you, it's so engaging. Everything on the screen that comes up, I want to read it, and I want to, like, find the little secrets.
Yeah.
When I found the desert city that's only women, you sure as shit I found a way to dress myself up as a girl and get in that city. I'll tell you right now, I got cute real quick. Got a couple desert pineapples and ran in there. I don't even know what they're called, but it's one of those things, like, again, storytelling doesn't always have to be it just told to you. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, just every city has its own feel.
Yeah.
Every city has its own secrets, and you want to uncover them, and it's not based on dialogue, it's based on adventure.
Right.
You're going around, you're like, I'm getting really overheated in this desert. The only oasis is this one city, and they only let in women. What's up with that? And you just want to find out. And then when you get there, you get really dope armor, and you get all of these rewards. So, like, I think whenever I look at sandbox games, there's lots of different ways we can go.
Yeah.
I want you to lead it. What sandbox game brought you in the most? And, like, what kept you? Because, again, there's so many things to be had.
Yeah.
Where did you drive that game?
I think I'm going to cover the bases. I think Minecraft needs to be talked about. Oh, we got to cover
the craft.
We got to cover it and make sure that it's definitely here. Minecraft has been one of those games that float in and float out because there's just a moment in life where you're like, you know what? I need something really peaceful. I need to build something. I need to fight just a few monsters that give me stress in some caves. The beauty of Minecraft is that it is the essence of how, like, mankind kind of started. If you really think about it, you start off getting some trees, chopping it down, getting some wood. You actually go into a cave, you go mining. It's essentially our history of what we try to do. Seeing the way that you crafting is simplistic. It's only a 3x3 for anyone that's ever not played the game. But the element of it where you deal with night cycles just like you do in life. You deal with needing to get food, hunger. You can craft things. You can make your own house. You can decorate it if you want to, or you can make a terrible box that's made out of like dirt. It's up to you.
That'd be my house. My house would be a little dirt house.
Give
me the dirt house. A little goblin.
I
want to be the fool.
It'll be a 2-story dirt
I want to be the
house.
fool for a moment.
Okay.
What's the end of Minecraft? Like, obviously we can be creative all day. I know we can get on and build all these things, have a civilization. Is there an end to it? Like, where you can definitively say, like, okay, I've beaten Minecraft.
That's the essence of the sandbox of it, because they give you that option. They give it to you, or you don't need to take it. You can just live in that sandbox. So there's this Ender Dragon that you can get all the Ender eyes, go there, fight the dragon, then you'll actually get like this cutscene of the end of the game, and you could just turn off the game right then and there if you wanted to. But that's not the purpose of it.
Jesus, tell me Steve made it.
Steve's next.
My little brick heart couldn't take it.
Steve's still out there. He's doing great stuff.
I heard that it has exceptional music.
Oh yeah, I think I actually have the music on Spotify as we speak. It's
like when I'm building stuff, I just put on my Minecraft.
I'm not gonna lie, it's one of those like you could put it on, you can fall asleep to.
IKEA, hey, take notes. You can have a section where you maybe play Minecraft music. People will be more inclined to build. Just saying. Free advice. You're welcome.
That's actually really solid.
Not a sponsor.
Really
Not a sponsor.
Advice. Another essence of Minecraft is redstone.
Redstone inside the game, like clay.
It's potentially it's called redstone, but it's not an actual clay. But it's like a certain dust, and it's used to make like machinery and stuff like that. So this is where I say like out of all these sandboxes I know of, this one has one of the unlimited potentials of what you want to make. So it has it where with redstone you could potentially make like a gate. That's really simple. A gate, it opens, it closes. You could make a 3x3 gate. Oh, now you have like 3 blocks moving over to here, moving over here with pistons.
Like you're talking like moving a gate as in like you could build like train tracks like on the ground kind of like it's sliding. Okay, I'm imagining like a pool gate.
It could be a pool gate.
I'm like, what are we getting started? But you're just saying like with redstone, that's where you can start like civilization things like building metal, building gates, building passageways to other places like railroad track. Okay.
Yes, exactly. So I'm gonna give you a scale to kind of just grasp how deep you can really get like just redstone. So gates, right? Real simple things. You can make things of let's say a small calculator that is 1 + 1 = 2, and it actually has a display. You can make it where you have
you can make these things on.
I'm not joking. Yes, you can. If you look up videos right now, there's videos of people making calculators, and this is where I'm gonna get you. The most intense thing that I have seen, someone has created a computer inside of Minecraft. So when I speak on a sandbox that, it has popularity sometimes it doesn't, but has endless growth from what I've seen, it's gonna be Minecraft. For someone to create a computer within that game using the materials that they found and stuff like that, of course they're doing some things in creative so they don't have to spend hours searching
mining
for all these
for it, but still it's incredible.
It's immensely incredible. And then you have let's say you take away just the mechanics of that, you have people building full cities. I've seen people build, I know you've seen some cool ones. I saw one where someone built all of like exact replica, spot on, full on Disney.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say King's Landing.
Oh, King's Landing. I've seen King's Landing.
I've not seen Disney's. I have seen King's
Disney.
Landing.
I've seen all of Magic Kingdom.
I will give a shout out. I don't know if this counts as an RPG. Roblox. I have a friend who plays Roblox, and this is what made me think of it, that has a fully functional 1-to-1 scale Universal Studios.
That's amazing.
Now the problem, there's actually people waiting in line. So when you go on the game, I'll call my friend, shout out to Andy, I'll call my friend and he'll be like, hold on 1 second, I just got to the front of the line of Spider-Man and Roblox. And I'm like, wait, hold on, there's a line?
Funny. That's good. That's good.
But back to Minecraft.
Yeah.
I think it's really incredible. I again, surface level, I've played it a little, I've built a village, I've gotten some pigs, some cows.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying now, like, the sandbox of it is, if I want to go beyond just playing a game, we can create something. We can create a computer that functions physically inside of the game, using the materials inside the game. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. To kind of give like a little bit of what the computer could do, they had it where it had a menu screen. It had a boot up process. It actually had calculator. It had resource packs that you could look up. It was intense. It was to see. They made a mouse computer on the side, a keyboard that you actually use. That's
impressive.
Crazy. Very impressive. Yeah.
Computers didn't have that until like the 90s. like that's a good safe bet.
That's a
80s, 90s.
That's a cliff note.
So let's dial it in then. That's the biggest. That's like zoomed out, sandbox, literally grand scale. What was the next game in there that maybe you could do anything you wanted, but it was still an open sandbox? And I could tell you, for me, Oblivion was that first cathartic experience. And by cathartic, I really love reading books about dragons.
Okay.
I love like the iron sword. I can't think of the word. Iron sword slinging, just magical bard-esque feel. And I didn't really have that game. I didn't have Baldur's Gate back in the day. Like Baldur's Gate 3, I think, is something we'll get to.
Yes, we will.
Oblivion really put me in a place where I could go back in time.
Okay.
I could be a brawler.
Yeah.
I could be a magician. I could be a rogue. I could be a murderer. I could be a rich, educated, magician from this special college where really they're just douches. And it's just funny because all of these options are really laid out for you to pick what you want. And some of them are surprises. A great example, and maybe potentially the best faction you can go with is the Dark Brotherhood. Have you played the game?
No.
I mean, can you take a guess? Clifford. Name's Dark Brotherhood. What do you think you have to do to get into that one?
Oh, man. There's so many wrong answers I want to choose for that.
Well,
but I'm going to say you'd probably have to take a life.
An innocent life. And it's one of those things where, guess what? You, as a good person, might play the whole game and never experience that faction because you didn't murder somebody. And you may not have stolen, so maybe you didn't join the Thieves Guild. But you might join the Mages Guild because you're a good guy and you think they're good. You might join the Fighters Guild because, you know what, sounds pretty great.
Yeah. I
think that was the first time where I had a playthrough that was good.
Okay.
And then I came back and started playing as a bad guy. I was like, hold on. I murdered somebody, and someone met me the moment I woke up. I woke up, invisible guy was like, you're a murderer. Lucien LeChance. And then, I go on and I start pickpocketing all the poor people, taking their carrots, taking their 1 or 2 coins. You gotta get my schmeckles somehow. And it's crazy because all of a sudden you start getting hints of a Thieves Guild.
Okay.
Both of them have rewarding endings that are game changing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I played a whole 200 hours and didn't even have that ending, and enjoyed every second of it, being a good guy, going through the Mages Guild, finding all the scrolls, trying to recover lost texts. As a Fighters Guild, you basically are just a peasant that's working. I really hate to really break it down like that. It kind of sucked. Yeah. But I really like the end Fighters Guild home I got, right? Yeah. And those were things that, like, no matter which way you went, whether you were going to do all of them in one run, you're doing a good guy, you're doing a bad guy, you're traveling across Cyrodiil, which is the map, which is huge. There was endless things to do. You could dungeon crawl, because there's dungeons everywhere. You could go into forts that had humans. You could kill orcs. You could kill demons. You could become a vampire. There's so many things that, like, I just hadn't experienced that type of open worldness without consequence, right? Fallout, I actually played Fallout before it. That karma, I love that aspect. It kept me in a container. When I played Oblivion, yes, it's not a nuclear Fallout. It's not modern day. It's not guns. It's medieval. There's magic. There's dragons. Your gun's a bow and arrow, or your, spells.
Yeah.
But my God, I love that character was me. Whatever name I put on that character, whatever backstory I gave that character, that was the story I'm playing. Not some guy. I was a prisoner. Sure, you're a prisoner. That's how it starts. Everything from that moment you break out, you decide. It's powerful.
It is.
And as someone who's creative, I know you're creative. I know there's games that pull you in. Assassin's Creed, it's the architecture, the look, the feel.
The history.
For this, it's the feeling of emotion that hit me on the inside. I'm like, man, I feel like a badass. Or I feel like so good sneaking in, being able to discover these things and not hurt anyone.
Yeah. to kind of point out, and this ties a little bit back into the escapism, I think the feeling that you get really unchains you from just like the things that you deal with in your life. You have this ability to not be connected to all these different things. You can be anything you want, and I think that's I can see why it's like one of your favorite games. I can definitely see that. I think I don't know if you've ever played Final Fantasy 14 or if you got into the series. I've only played 14, and it was absolutely amazing.
Like, I'll yell for my wife to come here right now. She's knees deep in one right now. No, I have played Final Fantasy.
Okay.
I've not played 14. I've played 7.
Yeah.
I've played 7 Rebirth. I've played like the newer versions, and I played the old ones. I really struggled to finish them.
You did? Okay. This is the one that you actually have a car. You're like a team of 4, and you're supposed to be like the royal king.
Is it a red truck?
No, it's almost like looks like a supercar, almost like a muscle car.
It's not the one she's playing then. She has a very large red truck she drives around.
She does? Oh, no, it's
she's like,
definitely like a supercar kind of.
I think I've seen your game. Is it long and
yeah,
almost
it's like
looks
really
like in
kind
black
of elongated
and like a convertible almost?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen that one.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope actually.
It's a really fun game. It's to a certain degree considered linear, but I think it's such a big open world that it feels more like a sandbox. And that's a really good game to, I think, kind of dive into.
JRPGs, I think we're going to have to make like a episode one day. No, I think this is a great spot to be like, you know what, you're right. And I think the reason why I think it would have to have its own episode is Japanese games have this thing about them where all of the side quests are almost irrelevant. But the story that it tells you is one of a kind.
I can see that.
Final Fantasy, I watch my wife play, and this is coming from a outsider's perspective who doesn't play the game. So if you're punching me through here, I can accept that.
Neither have I. So
it's just so entertaining. There'll be songs, a wrestler will pop out of somewhere and be like, yeah, and just the voices are crazy. There's so much color.
Yeah.
I will tell you, we need to do our own homework. My wife did say that the World Fair is in Japan this year and looks like a map from Final Fantasy.
Really?
So,
oh, that's cool.
We'll definitely check that out. But no, I think that Final Fantasy itself is, honestly, I think you just may have just brought up another great example of one that, like, it is linear, but, like, you're not going to feel it.
Yeah, exactly.
You really can't fail. You're going to go towards the end objective.
Yeah.
But there's a lot. I remember I played the basketball free throw game in Final Fantasy VII for 3 hours. Because I wanted the little magic thing that it gave you, and you had to get it perfect, and I didn't have the ability to save scrub, right? But I did it. I ground it out. And I think that's where it has a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah.
My wife really likes the rhythm games.
Okay.
And actually, I don't know if Final Fantasy 14 has it. Does it have the card game? There's a card game internally in the Final Fantasy she's playing that I know if it was a real life card set, she'd buy it instantly.
This might be a cliff note because I personally don't. I think it's a no. So I'm going to double check. I don't remember a card game in it.
This is the beauty of all the Final Fantasies, though. Yeah. I think that all of them have their own flair. Yeah. I know that one of them has professions where you can play online, and I think it's just interactions with real humans.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
I've not touched it, but I've played the classics. I've played 7, 8, 9, 10, right?
Yeah.
10-2, I think 10-2 is the one that had all the girls. But that's where each game has its own identity, and I think that there's people that could play 7, not like the next 5 generations,
right,
and then still find one later that they're like, okay, this has got me back in. I'm back in with Final Fantasy.
Yeah. It definitely gives me that because I think everyone that I've seen play it, they've either jump around to certain ones. It's not a specific one. But that one, for the first one that I played, it was really good. It was really good. It definitely gave me a free open realm that I could really explore myself. And there was a lot of underwater stuff. There was stuff like a beautiful land that I could explore.
And he was a mermaid.
But there was even these kind of cute how do I describe it? almost like a giant bird that looks really adorable that you can ride, and there's like a certain area in the woodland area that you can just ride them around.
Like a water chocobo?
Is it I think the chocobo is the exact name for it.
Are you talking about the birds that you run around on?
Yeah.
Yeah, chocobo.
Chocobo. I love a chocobo.
I was in my head, I'm imagining a water one.
Name.
I'm like, hey, I don't know Final Fantasy, but I know my birds.
I'm glad
okay,
you
Clifford.
The name. You had a spot.
Hey, hold on a minute. No, I will say, in Final Fantasy VII, you needed that to traverse.
Yeah.
And it was one of your special attacks that was like pretty phenomenal. So again, whenever you come to like even your fighting style, you can put in different specials.
That's interesting because in that game, it almost felt like they were just for races. Yeah, the races
they were working
fun.
them.
Yeah, the races were fun. And if I remember correctly, you could actually like free roam with them too. But the car made it everything getting so versatile. It was such an interesting like game. Like it really threw me for a spin because it felt very like medieval. But also there's technology, there's still like mechanical things that are very important. So it's a really cool twist of a game. Was there something else you wanted to mention?
Honestly, you just mentioned the races, and I'm like, are they randomly generated? Could we watch the races and like, they be different every time? Or is it like something where it's just an element in the background?
No, you go to like this farm area. It's almost like a cattle ranch type style to it, which is really cool. And it's like in the wooded area and stuff like that. So you're riding through the woods, racing other people, and you're racing the group that you're with too, if I remember correctly. So really cool.
My thinking is, I'm a sucker for games that I can leave on.
Yeah.
And like we could hang out and watch it.
Yeah.
And like still be entertained. So like a great example is like Smash Brothers. You could put on 4 random computers and put them at 9, and we could all just guess who's gonna win. And then when we're doing something, making food, talking, hanging out, whatever, it's like just kind of playing in the background. My hope was you could just have the horse races running over and over and over in the background. I'm like, dude, I would leave that on.
They need a software update.
Yeah, you know what? Final Fantasy, not a sponsor. Take that idea though, please, because I'd love some digital horse races.
That would be cool.
I really want to get back to, we were talking about bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And we were also talking about like games that are linear and allow you to have decisions being made, but also like they feel very open world. I think Baldur's Gate 3 might be the best money I've ever spent on a video game in my entire life.
Yeah.
And it's because, I paid $60, $70, I think I paid $90. I don't know. There's like a bonus pack one that I'm pretty certain I bought. I was not content when I bought it. I'm like, this is wild. I can't believe I just paid this much, but I love board games. Right. And I thought that was going to be a point and click board game type. Wow. Did I stumble upon
a gem.
A monolith. The best game I've ever played in my life.
Yeah.
So to start, it's linear in the fact that you have a common goal from the moment that you, let's do air quotes, spawn, when this game starts. There's an end goal. You're trying to accomplish one thing.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I say it's very sandboxy is you can absolutely run around for 200 hours in one playthrough and traverse countless different encounters. Now, I think where this game has a step up from the Infamouses, the easy, simple A, B, pick these decisions.
Yes. Yeah.
The Fallouts, pick this decision or this decision. Those are black and white.
Yes.
Baldur's Gate is the most complex. There are consequences from every action that you make, and some are going to be bad. But that's a good story. Life is kind of like that. You intend for good things to happen. You put positive things out there. You try your best, and what happens? You fail sometimes. My God, I failed so much more in Baldur's Gate than I do in real life. But it was a story that I couldn't predict. They're phenomenal storytellers in themselves. So the 3 playthroughs I've played, the 300 hours I've played, have all been different.
Yeah.
I will make one note. Everyone that my wife wanted to romance, I banged them. It was like a power move. It was a power move. Everyone that she's like, ooh, I think that guy's hot. I was like, that guy's my boyfriend now. That's crazy that you can do that. So I think that, Baldur's Gate, whether you're just a traditional board game player and you're like, hey, I want to get a video game, I think this is a good entry. If you're someone who's like, you know what, I want to make sure I buy a game that I can really get my money out of, I think it's a great game.
Yeah.
I think if you can't really decide for yourself a good story, I think it leads you along that path. But also, if you are a good storyteller, you can make a character like the Dark Urge. That's you driving that, and it's vastly different than any other playthrough. So it's kind of just in its own category, because I've just never had a developer or any game blow me away time after time after time after time, and after 300 hours, I still want to sit down and play another 100 hours.
Right. Now, the part that I really want to highlight that encompasses everything that you just said is the layers of how you can tell this story is intertwined like a tree. And you really start at one root, and you have so many options to kind of spark into. And I'm currently in Act 1. I've been playing the game, and I actually did choose the Dark Urge, of course. I didn't realize, just like how you're saying, like you made a bunch of mistakes, I didn't realize the Dark Urge was going to have crazy episodes every time he goes to sleep. And I'm telling you, I was baffled to wake up and see what happened. That's all I'll say. I'm not going to say anything else. It threw me for a loop, and it was something I didn't expect when I picked the character. I thought when I picked a character called the Dark Urge, I didn't think literally like that was what was going to happen, out of control. I thought it was something of like leaning into dark powers or something like that. So you'll have a different perspective every time you choose something. And for how many different options that you have in that game, you just like how you said, you've played it multiple times and you're having a different story every time. It's nowhere near the same as the first one. I think this is a moment to kind of give a shout out to the developers, because you're making intertwined stories.
Larian, we love you. We love you, Larian Studios.
I think that's a very complex thing to do, to make stories that make sense, that have a backing behind it, that follow the history of what you've previously done to come up to a certain event. I think that's a really tough task to do.
And I will say, obviously with no spoilers, it's an onion of a story.
Yeah.
So like each layer you peel back, right? I love onions. But the deeper you get, the more flavor you get generally.
Yeah.
That's absolutely how this game is. And it's kind of crazy that I played as a bard.
Okay.
And, if anyone's not played a game that has roles, a bard is a very charismatic, not very athletic, people person. And I just played that character because I feel like that's me. I'm like, I'm not super ripped, I'm not super smart, but I love the people. And it's crazy that we made it through the whole game with minimal fights. It's kind of 100% because, rolling charisma, I can roll like a 27 off almost nothing because you get like plus 16. And for the record, all these numbers, you just get bonuses for your backstory and for your character traits and for your race. And all of the things that I chose led into me being really good at conversations and playing instruments. You could play as a ranger, and this is going to be a highly combative game that you're going to have to pick out your moves, strategize positioning, and it's just completely different.
Yeah. To kind of give a little bit more context, anyone that's played Dungeons & Dragons, D&D, it has that building, that foundation behind it. So you are rolling every time you have a conversation with someone. And if you have, like how you were mentioning, really good charisma, then that conversation is really easy. Oh yeah, you should let me into your city. I'm no harm. But if I built a character that had really good strength, endurance, but my charisma wasn't as up there, then, conversations kind of suck for me. But I could probably hold myself up in a fight. So
and there's an advantage. You would start the fight earlier. When you get into a fight with 25 people, there's all the cards that you go in order, right?
Yeah, initiative.
Your initiative roll is always going to be higher. So guess what? You're going to get to knock out a couple of dudes. I'm going to get whacked by every stick rock, magic spell, and insult until the end, and then I'm gonna try to charm him.
Right.
But again, the beauty of the game.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I think if you've ever thought about playing D&D, I think this is the perfect game to get into. That for sure, because it's something that you can jump in by yourself, or you can have other people join you. It's going to guide you through in the same format, and it's really its own creative story that goes as its way.
No,
So,
I think you're absolutely right. I had never played D&D until I played Baldur's Gate. Had so much trepidation because I'm like, there's no way that this is gonna be something that can capture me.
yeah,
Wow, was I wrong? Wow, it's phenomenal. Wow, the replayability is so much. And also, I just appreciate that I now can go and actually participate
right.
in a little D&D action and not feel like ignorant, because it really educates you well. Like it
Yeah.
teaches you with training wheels how to navigate the game.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. That's very spot on.
One game that we didn't touch on, but you really just made me think about it. There's an element to RPGs that sometimes it's an element of just games being released quickly now. Games coming out and not being completely done. We just gave this big pat on the back. I love Larian Studios. This game was phenomenal from the moment it came out till today. I will still go and maybe we'll get off and play after. There are some games that I wanted to love,
Okay.
jumped into, and my God, they were a train wreck. And with patience and grace, I've waited and given them a second try, and they've blown me away.
I have one right on the top of my head.
Hit me with it.
Have you ever heard of No Man's Sky? Oh yeah, you've heard of No Man's Sky.
I will tell you, because I want you to give me the hurt story.
Okay.
I joined right after they updated it,
Oh.
and they had made it
Oh.
phenomenal. They gave it a huge quality of life. I started about 2 weeks after because it was on a Steam sale.
Oh, you got it good.
So I had no idea of the rough start I had. Tell me about it.
After some time, the bells and whistles just went mute. So the idea of going to different planets, exploring them, landing on them, really fun. And to kind of give some more background behind it, it's a almost endless universe where you can go to multiple planets. You can go to the center of the universe as well, but each planet that you go to, there's something different, something new there. They explained it where they were saying that you can meet with other people, and that wasn't the case. So there was some people that tried to meet up with each other.
Found
They
the same
started-
sector.
Found the same sectors, searching for planets, and I'm talking, this is a very, I'm talking there's millions of planets. We're playing a game that has millions of planets.
I did not have that unfortunate meeting, but what I did realize is the ship selection,
Yeah.
phenomenal. If you were someone who just wanted to fly through space first person, have a crazy time, phenomenal.
Yeah, that was
Um,
good.
Blessings being blessings, I didn't have to deal with the not being able to join friends.
Yeah.
I did not feel obligated to build a base. I felt like, I really wanted to get out, and the way I made money was I updated. So the game has all these functions to make money.
Okay.
And the way that you make money is you can go out and you can scan animals. That was what I did.
Okay.
I made it a point to upgrade my scanner to an S-class scanner.
Okay.
Gave me the highest return of points for new discoveries. I would just go to new planets. I'd discover all of the plants, all of the animals, and I would mine the ore, and I'd get the fuck out of there. And it's crazy because I still enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I guess that game was one of those ones I needed a little more guidance
Okay.
to keep me in. I still played 100 hours, I think. So, let me not act like I'm not someone who just plows
You didn't
through
have
games.
fun and
But the thing that really just lost me in the end was I had the coolest ship that I wanted.
right.
My friends all had the ship that they wanted. We kind of had enough money to buy whatever we wanted, but there wasn't anything left that we were really entertained in. Were you lost from that get whenever you couldn't join friends, or was this a game that you stuck out and you really toughed it out to enjoy every iteration of it?
I think the moment I realized that you can get to the center of the universe, and all it does is, if I remember correctly, it just sends you back out, back into the void of all the planets, and there was no proper way to meet up with anyone. It was a lonely sandbox, and there's a difference there. I'm not being told a story. There's not a plot to it, but I'm in this vacuum of space where I'm alone. And I can go to all these different planets. I can check out certain things, and they've updated it now where, like, of course, you can make like big bases, have all these functionalities. If I remember correctly, you could make like places, but it wasn't as intuitive as it is now. But I think having that type of sandbox wasn't for me, and I think I'm glad it's at where it's at now. But that wasn't the case when it first came out.
I'm happy that games have the ability to redeem themselves.
Yeah,
I wish it was not a leg that people stood on.
Yeah.
Cyberpunk had 10 years, allegedly. My friend was so hyped for the game, and when it came out, that was a game that I did play with my wife. I bought it day one on our PS4s because we didn't have a PS5. I don't know if the PS5 was out yet, but I had a PS4 at the time. Mm-hmm. And my God, I enjoyed it. First thing, let's pause. I enjoyed it. Loved the game. I'm playing it now, so like it's re-downloaded on my PS5 at this moment. I would drive through town super fast in my car, and the ground would stop loading. Like, I would be driving, and the literal ground would just not load. And it was kind of one of those moments where I was like, you know, I like all the aspects. I like the reflexes. I like the body. I like the being able to hack people. I like being able to use a samurai sword and a gun. It's very high tech, but still kind of like I'm on the streets. You know, I'm a hardened man.
Still a little gritty.
But the glitches were too much. It was kind of to that point where I was like, guys, why didn't you wait longer? But also 10 years is so long.
Yeah.
I gave it the No Man's Sky treatment that you gave. Like, I couldn't go back in time and experience No Man's Sky in a bad state. Thank God it's in a good state now, right? And significantly better probably than when I played it. Cyberpunk now is pretty fire. It is a good linear sandbox. You know what? If you just want to go do all the quests, do all the quests. But if you want to go on the side streets and beat the shit out of some psycho cybernaut people, you can. You can. Yeah. And there's rewards to it too. You get cool weapons. You know, there's some that are like make me feel cool because I like anime. I like the samurai swords, or like my arms having blades coming out of it.
Yeah.
This one's explicit. Since DeVere's cover, you can also get a big dildo like sledgehammer. And that's hilarious. And I'm like, dude, what is this game?
That's like Saints Row. Saints Row, I think 4. You could run around with stuff like that. It's completely outrageous.
And it's one of those things where, like, it's not for me, right?
Yeah.
But if that's your style, you can do it. Baldur's Gate had that, right? If your style is to be a creep or a weirdo, you can do it. If you want to play a saint, you can do it. Cyberpunk is one of the games that's on my radar that I'll give another shot.
Okay.
I will tell you, there was one game that I did ride out from beginning to end. That's my boy. Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves.
Sea of Thieves is a game
I heard
will
that was a
ride
really
for
good game.
Forever. It is a game where, it has the No Man's Sky issue.
Okay.
There's no goal. There's no goal.
Yeah.
When you get on Sea of Thieves, you're a pirate. Your goal is to get on and do pirate things.
And that's it.
Now, for you and I, people who have other people that they can join with, you're guaranteeing every time you get on, you're gonna have an adventure.
Right.
Whether it's for gold, whether it's fighting people, whether it's your chicken's dying in the water, whether it's finding maps and going after treasure. I think what made it hard for people at the beginning was there was 4 ships per server.
Okay.
It's not a lot.
That's not.
When you're going around, there was only 3 options of quests to do, which was digging up gold chests, killing skeletons and getting skulls, or finding chickens, snakes, and pigs and keeping them alive and getting them back to an island. Now, I loved it. I love ships. I love sailing. I love pirates. I have all these pirate tattoos. Dude, I love pirates.
Yeah.
That is that bias that kept me there through all the upgrades, updates, kept me coming back, you know, a little bit once every couple months to play for 30, 40 hours. That game's in a really good state. If you enjoy those type of games,
Right.
now, where there are 7 factions, you can go just fight if you want to fight. I think those are important. I think it's important to have variety. I think it's also important to, like, give some of these developers time. Go play the other plethora of games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cliff and I will give you the advice, but it's kind of crazy. I have to take that own advice myself sometimes. I'm like, Matt, don't be mad at this game. Just come back when it's good, or don't come back to it.
It's true. It's definitely true. Because when there's so many issues with the game, or it's just not starting off right, like Death Stranding.
God, no, but I want to so bad. Because from my understanding,
Yeah.
it started with no paths, no walkways, no roads, no way of travel. And now, because people have played it, it's put to a place where there's roads, there's navigation, there's signs, there's help.
Yeah. So I haven't played it. But I was told of how, one, I was really, really excited for when it was coming out because there's so much anticipation. And he pushed it back, I think, an extra year or two.
Kojima?
I believe so, yeah. That'll be a cliff note. I'll check that too. It should be, yes. And he pushed it back, from my understanding. It came on out, and then like the reviews immediately said like there was certain things missing.
Walking simulator. I remember seeing those reviews.
So I was like, this has to be a good game that's just not polished. And that's okay. It's a rough diamond. I'll wait for it to get polished. That's completely fine. I have the list of games I need to play is ever growing. It feels like I can't get them down enough. So that's okay.
You've cursed me. I know. Is it a game that ended up being what you'd consider polished, and like polished enough for like not a completionist, polished enough for like the normal gamer to like jump into?
From what I hear now, yes, because it's on my list. I'm definitely gonna go back and play it. So
take me with you, dude.
Can
we play together?
Absolutely.
Oh my god, I'm gonna carry so many boxes.
Yeah.
You're never gonna see any boxes get carried so heavy.
You're gonna see so many boxes on my side.
Oh my god, call us the box boys. You know, we're talking about diamonds in the rough.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. I really want to end with like those games that you think are withstanding the test of time.
Yeah.
Worth every penny. We can go down and we can pick a best for each category.
Okay.
But really, before we get to those categories, is there any game that you would defend from all the negativity? I'll give you one that we've not brought up once. Give you a little time to think on that.
Okay.
World of Warcraft.
You said you'd just defend it.
I will defend it with all my honor.
Really? Okay. Tell me about it.
The reason I think it needs defending is Blizzard itself is a questionable company.
Okay.
They just make questionable decisions with the journey their games take.
Okay.
The second part is we talk about bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And that's where I think that we can pick best of categories. But I want to defend this game for a moment because so many people talk about it being the origin of subscriptions. And just being like angry at the game.
Okay.
Let me tell you, I absolutely understand and I hate that there are subscription-based games out there.
Yeah.
The one defense I can have is if you are someone who just wants to jump into a game, be a character in a magical world, whether it's a alien or a human, you can also be a human, you could be an undead person. I think the game has everything.
Okay.
I think it has great PvP. I think it has great storytelling. I think it has great cinematics. I think it has great player interactions. I think it has great cosmetics. There are its flaws. But I would tell someone that every dollar that you put into the game is worth it. You can also play up to level 20 for free. So like there's absolute avenues that you can play. You can try every character class for the most part within reason outside of the character classes that you need a expansion pack.
Okay.
But like the principle is you can get a taste, top tier, a game I will always go back to year after year. I might take a 5-year break. I will always log back into that WoW account.
You'll always get back on it.
I will always log back into that WoW account.
Really?
At some point. And I think it comes back to the oblivion, right? That being able to escape into a magical world. A little sprinkle of the Minecraft, right?
Yeah.
Your own creativity can lead to anything. That's the character you build.
Right.
But they put all of the framework there for you to be able to like lean into, okay, I want to be a knight. You probably are going to want to be with the Alliance. You're probably going to want to be the knight in shining armor. And then once you kind of learn the real backstory, I actually think the Alliance are bad guys. I played Alliance for years.
Okay.
I played Horde. The last time I dipped the little toes in I was like, let me level up a Horde character to 70. My God, the Alliance are the bad guys. But this is where it comes to perception. It comes to your experience. I think those dollars are not wasted. But also, like, if you have the Clifford 100 lists of games, maybe knock those games out first.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're that person that's like, you know what? I want that old, comfortable, coming home to mama. WoW's mama. WoW's mama for me. You know, if I want to come home and feel comforted, I have an issue getting angry at some multiplayer games. I don't get mad at WoW. There's frustrations. Yeah. There's things that suck. I'm like, you know what? I gotta shut this thing off. No, like, I'll put it down, but WoW is like always good to me. Yeah. I think that little subscription is worth it. Now, that's me coming off of my soapbox. Not a sponsor for Blizzard. Not a sponsor. But it's just crazy because I think some games hold a special place in our heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you had mentioned, we used to talk about this a long time ago, but there was something where you were collecting different animals and it was almost like Pokemon in it. Could you tell me a little bit more about that if you remember?
Even in this, there's two categories. Yeah, so I was a hunter.
Okay.
And as a hunter, you can have pets.
Yeah.
Right? So you have pets. This pet is an animal that you level up with you and you fight. I am the guy that I'm like, I want to have as many pets as I can get.
Okay.
Now, there are also mini pets. And mini pets are things that go in your inventory. They are collectibles.
Okay.
So as I run around, I can have my pet, which I use my skills. I'm using hunter skills to control it. Mm-hmm. The mini pets are like cosmetics. You can have a little warrior, a little guy, a knight on a horse, and it's just a miniature version. But you can go find other people with mini pets and fight them like Pokemon.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
Your mini pets level up. And it's just another layer they added in where, like, if you were just trying to travel the world, I'll be really candid. The reason I like World of Warcraft is I like to get on my little motorcycle. Mm-hmm. It has a sidecar, and I like to travel around and discover all the locations.
Okay.
I just like the title for Explorer. Anytime there's a new island, I want to search it. That's it. That's crazy. I want to pay a subscription to basically drive around a fake world and check it out. Yeah. But that's something that captivates me in the scale and the layers. Like, there's caves and there's mountains, but then there's like little areas you can find a little hidden storyline with 5 quests that might have a dark story, or it might give you context to another area or another family or another faction that you're like, okay, maybe I understand their plight. I think the reason why Horde was unattractive to me back in the day was because they're not cute. I want to play someone that I feel is like better than me in real life, and I don't think I'm like this good looking guy, but I'm like, I want that knight in shining armor. Yeah. Horde are ugly monsters. But what's funny is I think it's just a play on perception. Okay. Because once you play those ugly monsters, and you know, for me, I played a troll. Got a troll. Right. Dude, you lived out in the wild and lived off the land, and the Alliance came and pillaged your land. They're like, yeah, we need to have this shipping port, and killed all the fish and stuff. And you're like, hold on a minute. The cute, good-looking guys are the bad guys. And the trolls with the tusk that everyone's making fun of are actually the people that are contributing to the world. And I think it's just a really big play on like what's important to you. Mm-hmm. If industrialization is important and you want all the cool shit, you want the motorcycle, you want the cool weapons and armor, you can get that, but the cost is the earth. When you play the Horde, you have a bunch of tribal people, you live in villages and huts, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I think their community is better. And it's kind of crazy that, like, even in a World of Warcraft, a game, I feel like there's a little bit of, like, politics, and, like, I feel like there's a little bit outside of the story.
Yeah.
I feel like even the way that people just interact with each other is different. And it's cool, because I can lock in each side, and I can be either one.
Right.
That's the beauty. You can be whatever you want to be, but there is a difference. It's very, very cool.
That's awesome. I will say, this game is something that I'll always hold to a high regard, and I actually need to go back and play. I don't know if you've ever played it before. I know I'm leaving it right on the edge. For Honor. Have you played For Honor?
2 games. Like, maybe. Yeah. Like, one or two games.
Okay.
That's the fighting first person.
It's knights, samurais, and Vikings all going against each other. Now, what I will say is that when this game first came out, a lot of people were on it. A lot of people were playing it. It was a lot of fun. It has its own campaign, which it's really amazing. You're storming castles, stuff like that, depending on the faction you choose and stuff like that. But there was an issue. If I remember correctly, there was a way to break someone's defense in multiplayer almost immediately, and you can immediately kill them. So it started destroying the game, destroying multiplayer, where it's like, I don't even want to play this. This one move's overpowered, and everyone's just kind of like abusing it. And I think they took care of it now. I think it's something that's not there anymore. But the way that game plays, the different styles of, like, if you choose someone as a samurai, you have to move differently than a paladin having a like shield sword. There's a different way you have to just fight. And I think to see these 3 different factions kind of collide, there's such a like when you're playing a Viking, you have so much grit to you. Like, you're ready to tear someone up. You could see it in the way that they fight. And this is like a medieval time. You're seeing dirt, blood, and everything on everybody. There was one, I think the very first match I ever played, it really astonished me. When I saw everyone running on out and you're just seeing people in the distance fighting. I saw one person jumping down, trying to run from a samurai, like, slash, and he got slashed in the back and he falls down. He just ragdolls onto the floor. It was like, oh man, like, you felt like you were watching, trying to think of there's a certain movie that's coming to mind. I'm gonna bring it up later, but it's just really intense. And I think it's such a great game. They had this one flaw that just started drawing it back, where it's like, man, don't want to play this anymore. But it is something that I would always stand on. If someone's like, hey, I want to play For Honor, I'm there. I'll hop on.
I think that's it. I think, like, what we're staying on is unique experiences.
Yeah.
Each of those games have something that's, like, just unique to it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's recap this. Let's recap this. So, we've not talked about this, but I want to know if we're talking about sandboxes. Okay. What's the best sandbox game that you're going to consider for someone?
The best sandbox that I would consider, and I think getting into sandboxes is definitely intimidating. You need to pick the right one. One that I would think is like a nice opener. It still feels linear. There's a lot of sandbox to it because you can kind of do a bunch of different things. That would actually, it sounds intense too. You're going to be surprised I picked this. It's going to be Elden Ring. I think playing Elden Ring will make you a really good gamer for a few things. 1, the game is tough. 2, there is 6 different endings you could have, which I was actually really surprised to see that there was 6. 3, the story is really intense. It's a little grim. I think this is a really good game that you could try if you wanted to touch into sandbox and not be too much where it's like you have too many options. And it's a very tough game. So I think if you can overcome playing this game, you're going to reach a point where you're like, okay, I can kind of play any game. I think that's kind of just cutting you right into the thick of it, but I think that's a really good game to play where you're like, okay, I can kind of tackle like any type of sandbox that comes my way.
I think that's fair. I think I am going to say Minecraft. You sold me. You sold me on the Minecraft.
That's a good option.
I will say, not everybody can deal with losing.
That is true.
And Elden Ring really made me patient.
Mhm.
It made me realize you just shouldn't get mad at a game.
Yeah.
And it really put me in a place where it was the first time that I had got to experience a really huge world, and I felt like tiny as an adult.
Yeah.
I played many games as a kid that made me feel that way. So I think Elden Ring is a phenomenal pick. Be patient. Have grace with yourself.
Yes.
And maybe look up a guide. Don't be stubborn. A little guide will help you. I'm going to say Minecraft is the yin to that yang.
Okay.
Because you really can't fail. You can starve to death. You can also play on creative. If you want to go into Minecraft and you want to just have this experience that you build for yourself, do it. If you want to go build the Leaning Tower of Pisa, do it. If you want to go and you build a computer, do it. If you want to go kill the Ender Dragon, do it. But I just think that that's a game where you can't have a bad time if your intention is to go into it and have a good time.
Yeah.
I think there are some games that I go into with the expectation and intention to have a good time, and something can go wrong. It not load right, it's difficult, it glitched, it didn't load right, whatever. And I think that you really sold me on Minecraft. So mine's Minecraft, Clifford's is Elden Ring. I think those are two phenomenal sandbox games.
Yeah. And I love that you brought up Minecraft, because maybe someone doesn't want the intensity of it starting off. Because I know if you get through that piece, then you're like, okay, everything's all good. But maybe you need something a little bit more gradual. Minecraft is that answer. It really is. Simple
and slow, hard and rewarding. They're very different. They're both phenomenal. What are you thinking for narrative-driven, linear game? A game that you're going to get to the end, regardless of what you decide, but there's a little flair in between.
I got two.
Give me one and then give me the other.
So the first one is going to be Star Wars Fallen Order. Now, this is a really good game. It's very linear. If you like Star Wars and you love the movies, at least the original ones, I'll leave that up in the air there for everybody. But if you at least like Star Wars, I think playing the Fallen Order is very refreshing. It's a story that you wish was a movie. I wish it was a movie. And it's told in a very beautiful way. You're potentially a Padawan. You're really young. You have a Jedi Master that's teaching you. You're not at the temple, but Order 66 just goes down in front of you. He gives his life to save you, and then you're out into the world by yourself.
Order 66 is smoking the kids, just so you know. They
Anakin,
came and they smoked the kids.
Anakin was looking for you, but you weren't home. You weren't home, and Anakin came to your house.
So you're one of the survivors,
yes,
and you live the grounded path without a master,
right,
going towards becoming a Jedi Master, I assume.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you have the perspective of learning certain things without having that proper formal certain way that Jedis are taught.
I mean, I think it's a really good opposite. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, but Jedis are studious. They're proper, right? They're saints almost. And I think to get to that state of becoming a Jedi, the studious, almost godly person, because you have these crazy powers. I don't want to say godly, but you know what I mean. Again, I think Saint is really a good example.
Yeah.
To get there through hardship is very similar to Anakin's fall to darkness. You know, he had to learn the hard way that power can corrupt.
Right.
And that, not everything is black and white, and he had to learn that the hard way. But I like that you can actually digest the story. You get to play a story where it's the opposite. And really you get to take the hard-ass path to becoming a good guy. So that could be on my list, Clifford. That's number one. What's number two?
And another one entered the ring. We'll see if we can talk about it. The second one, and I mentioned to you a little bit, you got a touch of it. I think you're going to be really interested in this one. It's a Horizon Zero Dawn. And to kind of break down the idea behind Horizon Zero Dawn, it's The world got to a point where they started making certain machines instead of having like armies fight their battles. The machines themselves were so advanced that they made it where they can consume biomass, which is plants, trees, certain things in the ocean, and it can actually make ammunition. It can make more of itself. And they lost control of the programming. It got to the point where the whole world had to unite to try to fight them off. But they were creating themselves too quickly. They wiped and extinguished everything on the face of the earth.
Everything, just regular flesh.
Everything.
Or they wiped out everything, plants, everything.
Structure, every plant, everything. They decimated the planet. So during this time, there was a scientist, and this scientist is making different AIs to help rebuild the world. She knows that nothing will stop this stuff in time. She knows the machines will destroy everything and there will be nothing left. So
and
the only
that's your main character that you're playing as, or that's who you're
this
playing
is
to?
the pre part of the story.
Okay.
That's the pre part of the story that it's going to tell you. You're going to get like pieces and more information of that along the way. And it'll actually give you holograms of certain areas because you'll be visiting destroyed structures where certain events were going down. And you can actually tap into the holograms and see what's going on. And you'll get little pieces and clues of like everything that happened previously before you. So she makes all of these different programs. You have one for like, she named them like Poseidon. It helps recreate things in the ocean. She made like ones for animals to help like make animals that produce different things. And they're robot animals because all the animals are dead. Everything's gone. It gets to this point where she makes one of the AIs that is the history of all humans. The person that made the machines by accident, that he messed up big time, and now the
Michael Machinery messing
up. My bad. He gained access to the AI that had the history of humans. And you know what he said? I don't want the next generation to know that I destroyed the world.
No.
So guess what he does?
Oh, no.
He destroys that one AI that has the history of everything mankind has done.
I don't think I can play the game. Is there any type of redemption?
There's a hope.
Okay.
There's a hope. You should play it.
I'm
telling you,
put
you
it
should
on my
play
list, but my God, no.
So let's go to the character you're actually playing. So this is almost many cycles of life in the future. So the AI that she set up, she made it where it was like, okay, the moment the world is in a state where it can begin anew, then kick on. It's tried to kick on and things weren't right. It has an AI that's meant to destroy the world again.
When everything died, is this the same generation of family being like born over and over and over again that you're following, or is it just like you're following the AI and then the main character comes in and you play from there?
You're potentially from the beginning, you're hearing the story of everything that's happened. You're hearing about how many cycles that went through, that it was like, oh no, humans aren't ready to come into this world, this isn't right, let's restart, and it wipes the world again. One of the AIs called Hades, he actually wipes the world, and then do it again. World's not right, wipes the world. This one's right, okay, let's start incubating humans. And she has all these spots and stations all around the world that are incubating humans. All of a sudden they come into this room, and this room teaches them the basics of life. The next thing they were supposed to do is be taught mankind's history, but they're not,
because
it got deleted. So all of a sudden the doors open, they learn basic necessities of how to live, but then they're into this giant open world, and that's it.
That's crazy.
So then you get this mix of tribes forming, almost like early stages of humans, but they have all these items with them that are very tech savvy because they have different tech. And that's when you start seeing like them hunting like animals that are robots and stuff like that to get certain parts and pieces. And this is where your character comes in. So your character is directly the DNA from the scientists long time ago.
Not the idiot guy.
No, not the idiot
guy.
guy.
I was about to bite my microphone.
But you will hear more about him later. He's got a special story. But you have the DNA from her, and she gave you that DNA so you can access all of her facilities around the U.S., all the places that you need to.
So the game is you traveling around to all these facilities and like uncovering
information in certain things and getting certain things back online. So you're supposed to help bring in the new world.
See,
it's a really good game.
I mean, you have two really great options there.
Yeah.
So I think, you look at Sandbox, you're making the character.
Right.
You get to lead the story. These games, you're gonna pick and choose, but you're gonna really follow the storyline that they laid out.
Yes. And it's going to feel very open world, but it is a storyline that will guide you.
Give me full names one more time, just so everyone has. Horizon.
So Horizon Zero Dawn and Star Wars The Fallen Order.
Oh, yeah. So we've given you 4 options. I think the final one we're going to talk about, which is decision-based games.
Yeah.
What's your best? I'm just going to say BG3, Baldur's Gate 3. I just think for the money that you're paying, I think for the amount of time that you will get out of the game, I think out of the different endings, if we're talking about 6 endings, I think there's more. I don't even know. I think that it is a masterpiece of a game. I think it's worth every penny. Mm-hmm. I think that there may not be a better decision-based role-playing game in the foreseeable future.
I think that's a really good option. It's a really good pick. And I'm going to give something that has a little bit less options, a little bit more vibrant.
I mean, this can be overwhelming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Many of my friends didn't play because they were like, they saw I played 200 hours on one playthrough, and they're like, no.
Yeah. Right.
Just not even starting. It's the One Piece. It's the One Piece effect, right? Like 1,000 episodes. That's too much. I can't conquer that. Right. So give me it. What's the other game that's a little less decision-based, more vibrant?
I would say it's a Telltale Games. Told you a little bit about it. It's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, normally, hopefully, if you guys like some hero games, I definitely love some hero games. This is a really good one to get into. Telltale Games does a really good job of giving you kind of like A, B, C, or D options, normally about 4. So you don't have too many crazy like ways to go out of your way to do something. It's not also just A and B, how we were talking about earlier, but they do give you enough decisions where you're like, man, I want to play that a second time and see what the other option was, or because I did this and this, it added up to this. One moment that I like to highlight is that there's a moment where you need to go to a certain collector. It's not the same one from the movies. They collect like rare specimens specifically, and you're trying to find a way to get in there to find out some information. I'll leave it at that much. Groot actually decides, he's like, why don't we pretend to sell me? And all of a sudden everyone's like kind of split down the middle. No, we don't want to risk you being in a situation. And everyone else is like, oh yeah, like, no, he'll be fine, we'll go just save him later. Like, this is a good plan, we need to have Groot in here. And you see at that one decision, the moment you make it, the way all the way to the collector, you'll see all the different emotions, you'll see all the different like funny commentary because of it, you'll see all the witty jokes that Rocket makes. Rocket is absolutely hilarious in this. He does such a good job, whoever voiced him. And you'll see the outcome, and you'll get a different outcome. And I think that's a really good game where you're like, I want something where I feel like I have a little bit of control into the story. I can kind of like make it where it's kind of my own story, but it still guides me to a certain ending. I think that's a perfect piece to add on to.
No, I think so too. And I've played one Telltale game. I've played Walking Dead, and they're not short. So, whenever you look at games that have all these decisions that end up being hundreds of hours long, opposed to like a Telltale game that might be 30 hours long, I think some people could be like, well, the value, The value is I took forever to make decisions in Baldur's Gate. It wasn't necessarily the game itself.
Right.
30 hours of content being played through being able to pick X, square, circle, triangle, whatever system you're on, because that's how Walking Dead works. You get 4 options. It's whichever button you hit. It's pretty phenomenal. You can't really ask for more. You know, if you're looking for something to lead you through a game, but it's purely just decisions. No hand-eye coordination, no luck, no rolling a dice. I love that, right? But also I can tell you there's times where I've been frustrated with that, where I could see a Telltale game being a game I could sit down and unwind. If I have a kid, hold my baby, I can still play and like be attentive. If I'm trying to eat food or like watch a YouTube video and like you still want to be doing that little trophy grind, I think it's really cool that you have that option. Or hey, I want to watch a TV show, I want a new story, but you're a gamer. I don't like to sit down and watch TV all the time. I want to sit down and get a story digested or like read to me. I think Telltale games are really phenomenal options because there's options too. Walking Dead, Guardians of the Galaxy. I know they have a handful of other games.
Right. To kind of touch up on that is Guardians of the Galaxy is the first Telltale game that is not just the decision. So it'll bring you, you'll do a decision, and you might be in an area where you're actually a first-person shooter. And then you'll go to a different area, and then like you might be solving something. So it's a very nice twist where they added like the essence of what they are as a company, and they gave it into, they evolved potentially, and I think they make it where it's a really nice game. You can play the previous games of what they have. I know one that I've done was Minecraft Telltale games, and I could tell you I was really surprised of how good of a story that was. I give them the kudos. I know that they stopped it along the way, and they went up to like 7 seasons or what they call it, or 7 episodes, but it was a really cool story. I wasn't expecting it at all. But yeah, I think check those out. Take a moment and see, hey, do I want to play a game that's, you know, having a bunch of options, or do I want to play something that's like, you know, a little bit more straightforward and I know what like I'm probably gonna get. You know, it's not something where the pressure's on me to make that decision.
I think you heard it here. I think we've given you more than enough content. You can really dive in. If you like a particular type of RPG, I think that you should pick one that interests you.
Yeah.
I will be really candid. Me and Cliff love a lot of games. We have a lot of similarities, but even when it comes to RPGs, there's some that I love that he may not, and there might be some that he loves that I may not. What we want to know is if you have RPGs that we talked about that you loved, reach out to us. Come to our socials. Go to the legendofgamingpodcast.com or come to any of our handles on any social media that we have and tell us the games you love. Or, guess what? We're not perfect. I've only played so many games. If you have that RPG that we need to play, hit us with it.
Yeah, if we didn't mention it and you're sitting on the edge of the seat like they didn't mention this, let us know, because we'll go check it out. We'll wind up playing it, and we'll get back to you and give you some updates, you know?
Honestly, I think just gamers at heart, we always want to experience something new. Yeah. Have something that like gives us a wow moment, makes us feel that little bit of nostalgia. RPGs have such a breadth of games that you could choose from. I think that it's just a matter of finding the one that's right for you. So to join the conversation, join us on our website at thelegendofgamingpodcast.com, The Legend of Gaming Podcast on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X.
Yeah.
Until next time, it's me, Matt, signing off, and
you got Cliff.
We'll see y'all later.